LEGO Star Wars the video game is an interesting game. With its simplistic gameplay and fast-paced way of retelling the stories from the Star Wars prequels, there was always something that people had wondered about for years. If episodes 1 and 3 had 6 levels, why does episode 2 only have 5? As well as that, if you were around during 2004 or have seen the trailers for the game, you may recognize this level that never made it into the final game. Or how about this unused cutscene? What level was this for, and why is it not in the final game? So many questions, and yet all of them can be answered in today's video. Stick around, we're going on a trip. It should come as no surprise that the first episode to be developed is Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Originally, Episode 1 was going to have 8 levels, with only 6 making it into the final game. Let's have a look at what these 8 levels would have been using this list. As we can see, most of these levels had completely different names during development. However, with how similar they are, it's quite easy to tell which ones were kept and which ones were cut. The first level to be cut is Return to Naboo. Thanks to what the community has found, it would seem that this unused cutscene belonged to this level before being cut. In the film, this would have been where Jar Jar Binks would be asked to aid in the war against the Trade Federation's battle droids on Naboo. In the final game, this was represented by Retake Theed Palace's intro cutscene. At the moment, it is unclear why this level was cut, but my best guess would be that they wanted to keep the level count to 6 levels, and to keep the focus on the Jedi before they're about to face Darth Maul. Assumedly, Return to Naboo would have been a level about fighting the battle droids and their ships as the Gungans on Naboo. This level concept wouldn't be fully implemented until LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. The next level in the list is Anakin's Flight. This is the level that was shown in the 2004 E3 footage and the trailers for the game. This one is more famous as it was shown off on GameHut's YouTube channel, and it's playable on a prototype that was found by Hidden Palace for the PlayStation 2. John Burton of GameHut explains that not only was the level cut to keep the level count to 6, but also that the level itself was tedious to play. The second stage of the level has Anakin flying in a Naboo starfighter, taking out antennas and other contraptions on the surface of the Trade Federation ship. Since all vehicle levels are auto-scroller on-a-rail type sections in the video game, this portion of the level is tedious because if you miss an antenna or other contraption as you're flying along, there is no way to go backwards to get what you missed, so you'd have to wait to get another chance. This level would go on to be revamped and included in LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga as a bonus level, and the concept of the level would later be reused in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga as part of the main campaign. Attack of the Clones is where things get a little interesting. As I mentioned, Episode 2 only has 5 levels in comparison to the 6 levels of Episodes 1 and 3. If you've ever played LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, you may recognize that Bounty Hunter Pursuit is not present in the video game. Luckily, thanks to a livestream on GameHut's YouTube channel, the original version of Bounty Hunter Pursuit can be seen. But first, let's take a look at the level list and see which levels were cut. Just like Episode 1, Episode 2 would have had 8 levels, but only 5 made it into the final game this time. So let's have a look at the original Bounty Hunter Pursuit. This level has no intro cutscene, so a temporary one is put here instead, and then the level begins. During this level, you're in a speeder playing as Anakin and Obi-Wan as they're chasing Zam Wesell, a character who tried to kill Padme Amidala. From the footage, the level seemed mostly complete. However, in the build that Burton was playing on his livestream, the game would crash after the end of the first stage, meaning that no data was present for the second stage. The third stage seems to be where the meat of the level would take place. This is where you'd be shooting at Zam's speeder, dealing damage to it to progress to the next stage. This is the last stage of the level, and as you can see, there are no textures, only the geometry is present. Unlike the intro cutscene, the ending cutscene is partially present in the game's data, but since it was never shown off in Burton's livestream, all that I can show is what the community has found of the original cutscene. So let's ask the age-old question, why was Bounty Hunter Pursuit cut? A lot of people seem to have the misconception that it was cut due to time constraints, which is not true.
Lucas weren't happy with us taking liberties with the story, and in the movie, it's Obi-Wan who chases Sam. So you can't then just have another speeder for 2-player without breaking the story, and I think Lucas were nervous about us making changes. because this was the first LEGO Star Wars we've made.
This decision would be rectified when the level was revamped and included in LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga's main campaign. Speaking of levels that were cut for that reason, let's talk about Asteroid Belt for a second. This level is not present anywhere in the game's files except for this weird cutscene. This cutscene is a direct copy of a cutscene used in the Discovery of Camino level, but what's interesting is that it points to a level that doesn't exist. In Burton's livestream, he mentions that a level involving Obi-Wan chasing Jango Fett through an asteroid belt was cut for the same reason Bounty Hunter Pursuit was cut.
I think Lucas were nervous about us making changes, because this was the first LEGO Star Wars we'd made. And for that reason, we were going to have a level where you were flying around the asteroid belt as Obi-Wan shooting down Jango and Boba Fett. But again, you couldn't have two Obi-Wans flying around, and Anakin wasn't there in the storyline.
Ultimately, this level's concept wouldn't be used until its inclusion in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga's main campaign. This last level has even less to talk about compared to Asteroid Belt. The beast seems to revolve around the scene in the film where Padme, Anakin, and Obi-Wan have to face horrific monsters in an arena. No one has ever mentioned this level, and my guess is that it may have been cut when the decision to have the level count be shot down to 6 was made. This level idea would flourish in LEGO Star Wars 3 The Clone Wars. Unfortunately, unlike Episodes 1 and 2, Episode 3's level list is completely blank, but the one thing we do have is its original name. Before Revenge of the Sith was considered, the name Rise of the Empire was utilized during Episode 3's development. This plays into the fact that the video game was released before Episode 3 made its way into theaters. The only known cut level from Episode 3 is a boga chase. In the film, Obi-Wan chases after General Grievous on a boga on the planet of Utapau. The level follows that same story beat, and much like Bounty Hunter Pursuit, it was mostly completed with only one stage having barely any geometry and textures. This was another level that Burton showcased on GameHut. The level was cut for the same reason as Bounty Hunter Pursuit and Asteroid Belt. Two Obi-Wans chasing Grievous doesn't make much sense, and liberties couldn't be taken at this time. Unfortunately, this level's concept would never be revisited in any LEGO Star Wars game, not even in the Skywalker Saga. And that's about all I know of the cut levels from LEGO Star Wars the video game. Bye guys.